Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're standing out here at the wood yard because we have a little workout for our Eastonmade 1222. So if you've been following along with the channel, you'll know that we used to have an Eastonmade 916, and I have split some very large logs with that 916, and I didn't have any problems doing it, but I did have a four-way wedge on it, and that four-way wedge, once you get the log up onto the splitter, you have four really big pieces of wood to have to contend with whenever they split apart. So on our 1222, we have the box wedge, and it is the 5-way box wedge, so it is still intended for a little bit bigger splits, but it actually does just about the perfect size for my purpose. And I was a little bit worried about getting too big of splits, if I wanted to sell some firewood. I was worried that maybe that will leave the firewood a little bit too big, but I have not found that that is the case, and it is somewhat adjustable too. You can actually go down to the smallest size, and that makes pretty close to what your typical firewood would be. And if you raise the wedge up a little bit, then it allows you to have those lot larger pieces for the boiler wood. So I don't know if you can see this behind me here, but I've got some really good size rounds of oak back here. Let me show you what we've got. So these pieces of oak are very big, and if you notice the razor sitting back here and the size of that round, these are some really big pieces. And then you can also see there with the splitter, sorry about the sun, we're in the middle of sunset right now. You can see the round in correspondence with the splitter of how tall that is. But I've got a measuring tape here. We can take a couple of measurements here. So this piece right here is 32 inches. And they pretty much just go up from there. I think 32. Yeah, this one right here is probably the smallest one I've got right now, which is right at 31. And they go all the way up. This one right here is about 31 and a half. That one's right on up to 33. And they go all the way up to about 38 and a half actually. So we've got some pretty large chunks of firewood, and that's going to give our 1222, I don't know if it'll be a workout, but it'll at least really show you what its capabilities are. And these are good, solid, no rot pieces of firewood. They're very heavy. This is actually a green tree. It was just cut recently, and so these are about as heavy as what you could get. So I'm going to jump right in here and go ahead and start splitting some of this. I only have time to split a couple pieces of this evening. I've got some other projects that I've got to get done before it gets dark, and the sun is setting right now, so I don't have much time. But I did want to get this video out there and at least show you the capabilities of this Eastonmade 1222. These rounds right here are probably around 700 pounds. And when you get up to that 38-inch round, it's probably, every bit of 700, maybe 800 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you really want to know what the lift capability is of a log lift on an Eastonmade wood splitter, this is really going to be a good demonstration of that. sun wasn't cooperating with us real well there, so I apologize for some of those shots there. At least that'll give you a good idea of what this machine's capable of. Now, I couldn't tell you how many pieces of wood I got out of one of those rounds, but there was a lot. There was tons of pieces of firewood in that. Like that actually is really fun to split these large rounds like this. There was not a whole lot of work other than, you know, I was trying to work it a little bit, but those pieces, like I was saying, they're 600 and 700 pounds. So even though you run it through there once or twice, you still got a 400 or 500 pound piece of wood you're trying to deal with. And in some of that, you can probably see me trying to move it around and manipulate it a little bit to line it up better. But there's not a whole lot of doing that because it's just still so heavy. And once I got it worked down to a smaller piece, then I could flip it over or something like that and try to get, you know, some different splits off of it. But what I found really worked the best was just split it, let the pieces that are too wide come out on the sides, grab those, put them on the log lift, and then re-split those. And then that way you're not even wrestling with the piece at all. You don't have to do anything to it, but just cycle it through pretty much. So that's the way I'm going to do the rest of them. It takes a little more time because you have to get your pieces before they get onto the conveyor, and you have to collect them from both sides. But it also is a lot easier than trying to wrestle that big, huge 500-600 pound you know, piece of wood around. So anyways, I hope this gives you an idea of really what an Eastonmade commercial splitter is capable of, and the log lift. A lot of people say, well, how much will they lift? And you know, and I've got firewood pieces that are 500 pounds. Those are well over 500 pounds, and it didn't have any problem picking it up. Now, I do wonder, you know, if there's a limit at some point, but I really think the limit is just going to be to what you can hold steady on the lift and keep it from being dangerous. You know, and I wouldn't want to lift something that's all odd shape up here and then have it, you know, trying to fall one way or the other. These rounds are actually, you know, pretty uniform, so once you get them on there and squared up, then there's not much chance that it's going to tumble over on you. Thanks for checking out the video today. I really appreciate it. And also to my subscribers and those that are always there commenting or leaving a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. The success of this channel is really you all, and I really appreciate you all supporting what we do. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you outdoors.